Hi, this is Making a Little Plans with Ivonne, and today we have
Lopez, and I'm a creative director with Lumbra Records.
Joel. Thanks for joining us today in the city of Chicago, which we're in right now. He's worked on everything across the board from clients in hard rock, blues, jazz, funk, and many other genres. So that's a quick overview. Today we'll be discussing his love for the industry, his career, musical preferences, and we'll have some fun. So take some notes if you are starting out in the industry. Let's see, Joel, can you tell our audience where we are right now and why it's also, special to you?
Right now, we're in the conference room of SAE Institute Chicago, and this is the school where I went for music business. And pretty much like everything that I've been doing in this industry, working with various bands and various band managers, I learned it here in this school. And it was a good learning experience because this conference room is where I did most of my hard work, where I had to call, our final project was, doing this concert. So we dealt with bands, we dealt with rappers and different groups of artists. So this pretty much where I was all the time on the phone calling and pretty much setting up the logistics of it.
What about your inspiration?
Oh yeah, I love Star Wars. Episodes 4, 5, and 6.
And apparently the school does too.
Yeah.
I want to know if you've always liked music, and then, so how did it start?
Well, my dad taught me when I was 5, piano. And from there, pretty much, I was, getting into, playing piano at banquets. And I grew up listening to oldies. So pretty much like classical music and oldies.
So moving from your appreciation of this influencer to your first paid job within anything music related, what was it?
It was, again, one of my friends, liked the girl, and there's a song that he was like, yeah, can you learn this on the guitar and record it so I could sing it to my girl in the car. I was like,
how old
okay.
were you?
I was probably like maybe 10, 12, maybe. I don't know.
Hustling.
And again, I was like, I had a PC at the time, so I was like, okay, I need to get a mic. So I went to Radio Shack, and I got one of those lavalier mics or lapel mics. And yeah, I connected that to my computer, in the microphone input.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I heard the song. I practiced it for a few days. Then I recorded it. And yeah, I put it on CD, gave it to him. He was like, oh, thank you so much. Here's $20. I was like, cool. And from there, I bought some pizza, and I ate my pizza, and I was happy. I was like, that was cool.
Can you jump us through how you went from studying music theory and composition to architectural drafting and then
music business here.
Music business.
Yeah, so
can you jump us through those hoops and what happened?
So pretty much when I went to go study music composition and theory, that's where it became like a science instead of like the art. So I learned like, hey, what makes a song happy? Instead of like all emotions, no, this chord progression, and then the minor makes it a little more sad, and you go back to the major, and all this other stuff. So it's like, so instead of like thinking or trying to get inspiration, it's like, okay, to make a happy song, here's the formula, here's some idea, put some emotion here, throw some exception of breaking the rules here. So it became more of like a science, I'm very like mechanical. But after that, when I was writing some music for, other people, it just became too boring, and it's just like, like not very money oriented, So I was like, okay, let me go get a real job, quote unquote real job.
So the architectural drafting came in?
And that's where in that university I went to Southern Adventist University in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, close to Chattanooga. And that's when I told myself, all right, I'm putting music to the side. I'm just gonna get my architectural drafting degree and get a real job so I could get real money, so then I could get my real equipment, then I could get real music, and then I could eventually go back to music. The beauty about music, you can't escape it, and you can't escape who you are. So when I went to that university, I was like, I'm not gonna do music. I'm just gonna stick to this real world, type of mentality. Mm-hmm. But then people found out I play guitar and piano, and long story short, that's when I first recorded this violinist. He had tracks, and he just needed someone to record them, so I recorded him in the audio editing room of the school. And that's when I taught myself Pro Tools also.
So I was like, software?
Yeah, and I was like, Pro Tools, okay, I guess, I seen the early years of Linkin Park. That was another, actually Linkin Park is one of those inspirational bands that I saw the behind the scenes of Hybrid Theory. the DVD, and I was like, oh, okay, they use this thing called Pro Tools and these samples, and okay, they're rock, but they're also putting this stuff digitally. I was used to the old school with the reels and tape and all that stuff, so I was like, okay. So in that school, that's when I learned Pro Tools, and I was like, hey, time to do this digital instead of the old school way. And then other people found out I record music, so then other people came to me, other bands, and again, I ended up being in 5 different musical groups in that university. Me escaping music, and it was cool because again, that's where the experience came out. Where I went on tour with a few of them, creating those moments of happiness and joy, and I was like, I want to keep doing this as a career. I tried to escape it, and nope, So once I got back to my real job, that's when I started mentalizing it. So I was saying that, yeah, I need to, it's going to cost me around like $10,000 to at least get a good foundation of equipment. So my mentality was, yeah, get that money, work hard, get that money. Once I got into the world, world of 9 to 5, it was around year 5 where I was like, I don't want to be doing this as a career, drafting and forgetting, it's like you do some music stuff, but your majority is just 9 to 5, family, and then maybe your craft.
A little bit of a hobby, yeah.
So then I was like, nah, I got this has to change. And then I found out about SAE, and I was like, okay, that looks interesting. So once I, talked to the financial people here, I was like, all right, give me a year and I'll be here, So I prepared myself a year, and in that year, that's when I taught myself, Photoshop, Premiere Pro for editing video.
Who would be your top biggest industry influence for you?
It would have to be Bob Gaudio. And the reason why is because I went to go see Jersey Boys. And when I first went to go see it, I had no clue who they were.
3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. And the first time I went, I was like, oh, I heard these songs before growing up. I had no clue it was these people that were singing it. So after that, after the first time I went home, studied them, and I was like, okay, and pretty much, Frankie Valli was the one that sang, but Bob Gaudio was the one that actually wrote the music and lyrics. And he was the one that wrote the song back in the day, who wears short shorts? We wear short shorts. So he was a one-hit wonder, and later on, they found him, and he ended up being the band's, composer, instrumentalist, and just an awesome industry guy.
Have you ever felt that you didn't want to do music anymore? And, can you share that story?
Yeah. Like, especially the early years, of recording, different bands, different groups, where you're just, recording, you're just stuck in a studio, and you're seeing, like, all this happiness going on, but you're stuck in the studio mixing, and you think it's all done, and then you gotta add something else. Well, 2 weeks ago, I did a photo and video shoot for this metal festival, and again, it's like you have a massive amount of work where 3 days, equaling like 50 plus bands plus festival life. So it's like when you just get these huge projects, and it's like it just becomes mechanical where you just go through pictures, and you're sometimes stuck inside editing for like 8 to 10, 12 hours, and it's just like, So there's a few times that happens, but when you see the end result, you forget about it, and it's like, all right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, switching more to colleagues or maybe customers, people you work with, peers. What's your philosophy of balancing the relationship you have with them between what is friendship and what is business? Like drawing that line with people.
Sometimes, like the quote says, you get what you pay for. So sometimes there is times where it's better to pay the $500 to a stranger that'll get it done quickly instead of the friend that says that he'll help you out and takes longer. Because there's times also where you want to be professional and you want to be able to tell them, hey, we need this done right now because we have deadlines to meet that are tied to marketing, that are tied to events, that are tied to touring. So it's like everything is lined up, and there's sometimes people don't understand that.
So dominoes? So I want to ask you about some of your preferences. We're just going to do a quick run through just to get to understand you musically a little bit better. What has been your favorite musical, movie, show, special, anything?
Honestly, it had to be when I saw Jersey Boys for the first time. That song, You're just too good to be true, can't take my eyes off you. And then I was like, the whole audience, you just felt the whole vibe. Everyone was like, And you heard that gasp and you heard that vibe in the whole audience. I was like, okay, I should know this song. I heard it before. I had no clue it was them.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when the horns come in, ba-da, ba-da, ba, and everything's all building up, and the audience just lost it. Everybody got up and you're there clapping and singing. I was like, wow. So it was like at that moment I was like, this is what I get music. Because at that time, that's when I was still in the 9 to 5, and it was where just having the mentality, just work, don't think about music, just work, get the gear, get this and that. But when that happened, it was just, this is what it's about.
Who would you record with, dead or alive? If you had the chance.
Bob Gaudio, again, the guy who wrote for Jersey Boys.
Mm-hmm. Still alive?
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
And again,
would you like to ask him if he'd like to record with you?
I'm not worthy.
In your perspective, which artist do you think is a whole package, or which music professional?
Bruno Mars.
So what type of music would you love that others wouldn't assume that you...
Metal. I first heard Metallica, the Four Horsemen. I was like, oh, that's so cool, and then like the solos that they do, I'm like, wow, this sounds like a beautiful, classical ballad or something. Paganini, he was like the best violinist. He was like the rock star violinist back in the day, and he purposely would thread his strings, so while performing they break it and everybody's like, oh, and then he continues and all that stuff. So like his music is so virtuoso-ish, or however you say it, that if you put distortion on that, you have like metal music. Again, in metal music you have the music people where, yeah man, I'm doing a Phrygian mode over Mixolydian and I'm doing a third instead of a ninth and a sixth, I'm like, well, I learned some music theory, but you just way above my head.
Which platforms do you use to listen to consume music?
Okay, pretty much Spotify, and also sometimes on YouTube. Because sometimes metal bands are not on Spotify, it's all like YouTube and Facebook.
What do you think is the hardest thing about the industry for a newbie? A newbie that's just wants to get into the music industry.
It's tough. Have 2 years of preparation before you start it, because it's gonna be very intense.
But is it worth it?
Yeah, it's worth it. But like I said, like if you're not prepared and you really don't want it and you really don't love it, you're gonna quit. So it's like you have to really look into yourself, and it's like, and be like, you need to be committed, not just involved. Because there's been a lot of what's the word? Obstacles and a lot of roadblocks that's gonna happen. And it's like, all right, there's a roadblock. All right, I need to go back and take this route instead. So you really gotta love it and be committed, because if not, it'll show, and it could break you down.
Switching gears to technology, how do you think technology has changed the music industry? Maybe since the MP3 through today. What do you think? Anything?
It gives the artists more freedom to do what they want. Because before you had to go through a record label, and you had to wait for their marketing and everything, whatever the record label said you had to do. Versus now, artists have the freedom to just, again, go Facebook Live. Hey guys, check us out. And boom, right there's a quick video and, instant access to the artist, versus having to go cheaper. Around.
So now I'm going to test your knowledge on a couple things. Finish this lyric. Don't want to close my eyes. I don't
fall asleep because I miss you, babe.
Who sings that?
Don't want to miss a thing. Steven Tyler of Aerosmith.
Yeah. All right. What about this? Here's a wrench. Tengo la camisa negra porque negra tengo
el alma.
And who sings this?
Juanes.
Juanes. Yeah. The last one is just like the one-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Stevie Nicks.
Okay.
Edge of 17.
Okay. Yeah, that one.
Alrighty. Just in your experience, could you share a Thorn bud petal experience? And this is the flower question that I got from Martin McGovern. Thorn would be something tough. The bud is a good experience, and then the petal is what do you look forward to in the future.
Okay.
So just briefly, those three things.
So Thorn first.
Thorn.
Okay.
Tough experience.
Well, being independent, there's times where some projects don't pay on time, or you have to wait on the money. So there's times where you are reliant on them to help pay to have you continue going. So there's been a few times where I just had to wait for some money and I'm just dead in the water. And there's other things I want to do, but I can't do because I either don't have the money to put gas in my car, or I had to put the money towards the rent.
What about the bud to give some hope? Good experience.
Good experience. Okay, this was again a wonderful experience, a fun experience. Where with the a cappella group, we went to Miami for a weekend concert, and we are supposed to leave Sunday morning back to school in close to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and everybody was still asleep, and it was like I think 9 or 10 in the morning, and the singer, he never swam in the Atlantic Ocean, or like that is the Atlantic, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. So we're like, yeah, let's just sink out real quick and we'll go swim and all that. All right, cool. So it's me, him, and the leader of the group. We we snuck out of the house, and because everybody else was sleeping, I'm like, yeah, let's just go. And we got there. And all right, you got swimming trunks? Nah. Did you bring them? Nah. I'm like, all right, screw it. Let's just go in our underwear and all right, cool. And bam, we go, and I'm getting real cool, So we get back, we're all wet. We're like, man, who cares, So when we drove back to the house, everybody was awake and just waiting for us and real mad. We have fun.
What about your Petal? What's something you look forward to in the future?
I'm looking forward to going on tour with this band that I'm working with, Under Fire. And the reason why is because this is like one of those bands where they're very organized, where they have all their gear bought. It's like they're ready to do big things. They know their music. They have a cool style of hard rock, and we've been preparing, a small Midwest tour from mid-October to mid-November, and I'm going with them because I'm gonna be filming and also taking pictures, but also I'm helping them be like their tour manager, and getting things in order and like logistics and things like that. So I'm looking forward to that because this is going to be like one of those experiences back in my university where I got to go on tour with the people I'm working with. So now I'm working with a full rock band, and we're able to do, a lot of things, so like filming more organizational things that I learned here in the school. Again, like there's a program that we learned here. It's called Master Tour, and pretty much it's like a program that just handles and organizes everything that you do. And it's one of those things where one of the teachers that we just met right now, he broke me pretty much because I hated like learning that it's like it's a tough program to learn. There's a huge learning curve, and you have to have every little detail in order. If not, it'll mess up and things like that. So long story short, I'm using that program to track the progress of this tour, because we are going to start in the Midwest and we're going to end up in New York, Connecticut area. So
you said in the spring you guys are going to...
Oh yeah, we're going to double that. We're going to try to do more west. Yeah. Right now we just want to attack more like the Midwest and a little bit of the East. But then in the spring we do want to go more south and west. And that takes further investment and further time, to get there. So I know with this is like a good intro to work out the kinks, if there's any, and to see how can we do things more efficient. And
where can they get more details about your record label and their tour?
If you want, you can go to my website, lumbrarecords.com. So Lumbra is like a play on a Spanish word, and it's kind of saying like lumbrando, like kind of like shining. Because me, I'm Mexican, Venezuelan, and Italian, so I have a huge mix of cultures behind me. So I wanted something unique.
Last question for you. The purpose of music in this world is?
To connect one heart to another. Once you experience a moment that music brings that about with not only you, but a mass of people, it's a wonderful experience that becomes addicting and very uplifting also.
Well, thanks for connecting with me today. Thanks for coming on my vlog, and viewers, thanks for tuning in. This was Make No Little Plans with Ivonne.